Jason, thanks for joining us this morning.
Hey, Brian, glad to be here.
Hey, Census of Ag just came out. It's a long process. It covers a big, wide area, which takes a lot of time, and good highlights coming out of this Census of Ag?
Yeah, there are quite a few highlights coming out of the Census of Ag. One of the big things, of course, is the number of farms and the number of farmers out there across the United States. The number came in at 3.2 million farmers, operating 2.1 million farms across the U.S. So that's kind of the big highlight. Like previous censuses, USDA-NASS has looked at the top 3 operators in a particular operation, and so those are the type of things that we look at when we're doing the Census of Agriculture.
Any highlights for Kansas?
Well, Kansas came in at 61,773 farms, and if you look at, we even broke it down by county here in the state of Kansas and across the U.S. This is the largest database of agricultural data broke down to the county level that we have in the U.S. So if you looked at Kansas data, the number of farms was just under 62,000 farms, and the top 4 counties that had the number of farms was the number 1 county was Reno County at 1,633 farms. That is down from the last time we did the census was in 2007. The number 2 county was Butler County, and they surpassed Miami County, who used to have the second largest number of farms, but Miami would drop down, dropping 15% of their farmers from 2007 to 2012. They dropped from ranking second down to number 4 with 1,305 farms. And then number 3 was Sedgwick County with 1,344 farms in 2012.
Any grain issues that we need to be aware of? I know there's some growth going on here in the state of Kansas.
There's a few things that kind of caught my eye just at the beginning of the review of the results here. But yeah, canola was a crop that kind of boosted up here in the last 5 years that we were, I don't know if I was really surprised, but because it's a drought-tolerant crop, we did have an increase in the number of canola farms, nearly doubled from 2007. And if you looked at our neighbors to the south, they had a big boost in the number of canola farms, number of canola acres harvested, and the amount of canola produced.
Well, when we talk about that, it's a drought-tolerant crop, which is probably one of the reasons we saw such a boost in it.
Yeah, that's true. And they also have come up with other technology. Roundup Ready canola is a new technology that has just getting caught on here in the last 5 years too. It's probably another reason why it had a big boost in Oklahoma and have definitely spread up into Kansas, where we're looking at 5 and 6 times the number of acres of canola that we had 5 years ago.
We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to finish up with Jason on the new Census of Ag.
This segment brought to you by Renzi Seeds, Midwest growers' best ally for over 70 years. RenziSeeds.com, RENZE Seeds.com. A.B. Flint Motor Company, selling quality used cars and trucks in southeast Topeka at 32nd and South Kansas Avenue. Integrity Gun and Pawn, 2 Topeka locations specializing in firearms and training. IGPawn.com to learn more. Kansas Wheat Commission, leaders in the adoption of profitable innovations for wheat. Online at kswheat.com.
Jason, thanks for staying with us.
Sure, Brian.
Soybeans and other row crops here across the state, I would imagine that we continue to grow as we're looking at record number of soybean acres possibly this year.
Yeah, when you look at the total number of farms, we had a decrease in the state of Kansas. But when you started looking at the details as far as the number of wheat farms or the number of corn farms, you were seeing a lot of the decreases that would go with the fewer number of farms. Soybeans was a little bit different, to where we've had an increase in the number of soybean farms in the state of Kansas. And like you said, that kind of reflects the possibility of some record soybean acres this year. This is comparing 2007 to 2012, but the trend is definitely there, that there was an increase from 13,232 soybean farms in 2007. Now, based on the 2012 numbers, 15,448. So a pretty good jump. And then you can break that down by acres in the Census of Agriculture too, size of farm. And you were looking at mostly the increases were those farmers that had over 100 acres, and definitely then they had over 1,000 acres. There was an increase in the number of farms. So.
Farm income's up a little bit. I think if you looked at the number, you'd go, wow, farm incomes are way up. But if you look at the expenses on the other side, you'd go, farm incomes are not that far up.
That's right. When you first see the numbers from the Census of Agriculture, and this is 2012 numbers, but it was a jump of about 28% in the value of ag products sold from the state of Kansas. Okay, so that's a pretty good jump in the value of those products sold. But you also have to look at the expenses, and that's one of the things that comes out of the Census of Agriculture. At the same time, you can look at expenses, and the expenses jumped overall 35%. So now you got a little bit bigger picture there, and you can even take that expenses and break it down and say, okay, what expenses really jumped up? And if you look at the details, feed expenses nearly doubled, and ag chemicals nearly doubled in that 5-year period from 2007 to 2012.
So farmers are literally having to squeeze every penny out of every acre they've got, basically.
Yeah, they're definitely spending a lot to make more, that's for sure.
And we just got a little bit of time left. We saw each other on the wheat tour the other day. Any surprises that kind of came out of that for you?
Well, to me, I was surprised that we weren't seeing this extremes like we did last year, where we saw some really, really good wheat and then some really, really poor wheat. This year it seemed like, at least on the tour I was on, that the overall the yields were lower and there were still a lot of not very good wheat, and it's really on the verge of some very tough times if the rains don't come in some areas.
I think in the short amount of time that we got to spend on, that I got to spend on there, you look at the farms and you go, these guys have had a really tough time.